Hey people, I found the trick that they use to hide the writings of the Serpent Kings in the Bible. And it's throughout the Bible, and they twist it so you don't recognize it. We have an excellent day here in South Mississippi. It must have got down close to 55 last night, and it's warming up in the 80s today. And I tried to go outside and shoot a video several times, but I'm having problems loading them. This new system where they want you to load everything to the cloud, I turned it out, and now my phone, I can't even transfer from a phone to the computer. So, you get old and you really don't give a fuck about a whole lot, and I really don't care about my appearance anymore. So I was talking to my friend at the Mexican joint who's always got the sweetest haircut, and he told me he cuts it himself. So I said, shit, let me try that. So this is my shot at a haircut, a self-prescribed haircut. And about 5 years ago I told you that I was eating licorice at night, black licorice, and it really helped me dream. I haven't done it in a while, and I just want to advise against it, if you're young, because those black spots between your teeth, that's not always licorice. So I lost a tooth last week. I don't even know where it went. I must have swallowed it while I was sleeping. I don't give a damn. I got enough to eat anyway. I'm old. I'm not chasing women. I don't have time to waste a woman's time anyway. I don't have time for a woman. But if you're young and want to keep all your teeth, I'd advise against eating licorice at night before sleeping. So all these old serpent kings, they come from the family of the Nagas. They were a huge part of all the ancient Vedic stories. Many multi-headed serpents. And the way they hid these serpent kings is they changed the G into an H. It's Nahash. And you can see there, it means serpent. Just kind of left that out. You see this in Genesis 3, the serpent in the tree. That's the base word for the serpent in the tree. And it means the wisest creature in the garden. The serpents were known for their wisdom. But, you'll also notice that this NH, that's the Hebrew word for Noah. Just the NH. And, when they talk about Sodom and Gomorrah, there is no G in Gomorrah. The G is given. And, we have a lot of words in English that the G is silent. And, the seventh letter in the alphabet used to be Z. And they changed it to G because God didn't want his day represented by the serpent's letter. And so it appears that that's been twisted around because the G is the serpent's letter. That's why we're using this H here, but it's actually pronounced Naga. And you'll see it in Russia that they changed the words starting with an H to a G. Maybe they knew that it was previous a G before, and this was some of the language change to lose us. In the Spanish, if the G is followed by a E, it pronounces the H. I got something going on with this G and H. And so I would bet it had something to do when the words were reading backwards and forwards, that they only wanted to pronounce the G in one direction. And you see the same in the Greek, in the word angel. The word angel is just spelled A-G-G. There is no N in it. So the same as the diphthongs that change the letters and some other letter combinations that change letters. There's also one going on with this G that we're going to figure out. And I know I'm going to figure this out because I'm going to think about it every time I'm eating nachos. And I eat a lot of nachos. So it comes up 9 times like this. The vile, V-I-O-L, the vile serpent, the almany, and the all. I've shown you how they give that word. Sometimes they say it means God, sometimes they say it means two, and sometimes they say it means not. But that might be the God and then backwards of the such Nagas. And you see it here, the Elohim, and said God, Nagas. And they totally removed that because that didn't fit worth a damn. And what are of us Hanagas? The Nagas milk the king, the serpent kings. And, and been such Nagas of kosher. kosher. They're okay. And the daughter, the but such Nagas, the daughters of the serpent, and the son of the serpents, and the death of the serpents, and the serpents, the Veshus, Tefillahus. And then you see it hidden on all these words. And they knew what they were doing, because this is the words they added. The additional entries all had the NH in them. Every one. Here's another whole set of 10 more words. It's not this one. And then 3 more spelled the same, just the NHS. And that's in every one of these words, have this NHS in them. And so it's talking about these serpents all throughout the Bible. They give it other meanings. And excuse me, this wasn't the Elohim. They got the I and the E reversed here. And it's all Gem, Jem, all Gem, the serpent. You know, the Nagamani, the serpent's ornament. So I have no idea how I ended up here. You see that I got nothing prior to this. But I had run into this in Corinthians 19 in the first line. It was talking about the serpent milk, the serpent king. And that's what it caused me to go to the end of this chapter. And that's when I ran into this word, the Lucia. And that's what got me sidetracked on that other movie where I was looking into Lucia. So good chances it was this word, a hurry, that had me run into this. I remember looking at this word, and I ran into the serpent king, the Naga's milk. You know, they say milk is the king. And I tell you, it's because of the Milky Way. The kings were all in the heavens. But in the Vedic story, this Naga milk had a different meaning. And all these demons and gods, they took this old Naga and twisted him around this mountain, and they was milking it. And they were milking out the Amarit. And this is the Sanskrit word that means immortality. It's where your word mortal come from. You know, mortals die. And they were trying to milk out this elixir that might be known as the soma, the drink of the divas. They say in the Greek this became the ambrosia. And it's, you know, the nectar of the gods. It's why the gods live forever. And the Hinduism says nectar does not actually offer true immortality. Instead, by partaking in the divas were able to attain a higher level of knowledge and power. And in the Sikhism, they call it the holy water, using a ceremony which resembles baptism. And so that's what's going on in this Christian baptism. They're trying to hide this knowledge that you're actually supposed to drink it. The ceremony observed initiates of the Sikhs into the cause of it, and requires the drinking of the ambrosia, the immortal. So it's surely talking about one of these magic potions, and there's many of them that can help you have an out-of-body experience. And you don't have to do a drug to do this. If you practice meditation, you may be able to do this. I was able to do it after practicing meditation. It must have took me a month or more before I was able to do it. And it's a lot easier with the drugs. But what it does is, once you separate and have an out-of-body experience, then you realize that the soul, your conscious thought, is not part of this mortal body. It's part of your spirit. The conscious thought moves with the spirit. You know, you can leave your body and you still know everything that you learned all your life and be slapped out of your body. You could be somewhere else. And so what happens is, when you have this knowledge that, oh, my knowledge doesn't go with that old body. That body is just a case that I put my spirit and knowledge in. And so that's immortal, you know. Once you figure that out, you kind of lose your fear of death, because you know that never dies. And so it gives you a whole different attitude about life, and it makes for piss poor slaves, and that's why they don't want us to know anything about this. That's why all the Christian churches will tell you that out-of-body experiences are of the devil. And so this makes much more sense of the first day is spelt with a HD. That's God. And with all the vowel points, the A, E is ES, is, and HAUD, God, GAUD, God, GAWD. You'll see I spell it and pronounce it that way often. And so that's probably the proper way to spell it, GAWD, oh God. And this is the first thing you have to know to get ahead, is the H is the G. And so probably good chances it's just when it's followed by this A vowel point underneath. And so if we look at all the definitions that they'll give this word, one, every, each, a certain one, and, only, once, once for all, one, another, the one, the other, one after another, one by one, first, or 11. And just with no vowel points, A, G, D, A, God. And not meaning there's only one, but we're just talking about one of them. So this one, I had mistaken this for Elohim, the God, is all of them. And them is just this E-M. T-H-E-M is them. And you see that most of the time. And they're skipping this part of the word. And this is where your word ally come from. And it comes from an ancient word, and it means the power to bind, make. And the power to bind, make is where ally comes from. Old French allier, to bind, to allies, to unite. And who yammer, why yammer? Who says ally them serpents? Bind them serpents, make allies out of them. And the homoing, the same type, the homoing. On this I will make with you, that I may put out your all eyes right, and bring reproach on all Israel. And so it's easy to tell that they're trying to force meanings over these words. But on this condition, this is vise, V-I-Z, devise it. And I vise it, a cradle. A cradle is to govern. They give it covenant because it's just not there. Covenant is a Brit. But you see this word come up often when covenant comes up with Brit. They come up together. It's because they rhyme. And this is a book of poetry. A crit and in writ is a poetry. I will make a covenant, a crit and writ. And so this is more like, to occur it, to get. And devise it, a crit, to get. And this is part of this word here, a crittlesome. A crittlesome, the one that you occurred. And this word here, this is where your word anchor come from, that I may put out, is ba-n-a-n-q-u-o-u-r, anchor, or for, F-O-U-R, K-O-U-R, anchor. And I say it's anchor because when I look at this, other meanings, is to bore, to pick, to dig, pick out, to bore, pick, dig. And that's what an anchor does. It digs into the ground. In a crittlesome, in anchor'll come. And calling, C-A-L, and then backwards, N-I is ing. The calling, oying. And so oying is calling, but it's also the seeing. The call and seeing. O is to see, I-N. The calling, seeing. And I'm pretty sure that this I am is going with this, the seeing them, to seeing them. To seeing them in, I-M-I-N. The calling, seeing them in. And was amid age, W-S-O-M, was, and then M-T, mit, with, was with, dot underneath, A-J-E, amid age. And then the herp, to turn up stones looking for serpents, to go herping. And while reading the upper markings, this is H-R-P. The dot and the P says grab this A mark. A-E is E-S. The herpes. The herpes all of call is roll. And when you're reading the lower markings, you see the purple, herp, P-E. And the mark says grab this again. R-H-R-P, the perp. And then all the purple. But yeah, this isn't bring. This is a Semitic. not just to bring, but to submit it. What's been submitted is the submittage. And Israel is never Israel. There was no such thing. It's his role, his job, his rule, his kingship. And said, ally them snakes, the homoing, the same typing, vise it, acrittlesome, in anchor of come, calling seeing 'em in to submittage, and herp all of call, and then backwards LARS, and all of colors his role, colors his rule. And so herping, isn't necessarily snake hunting, but you're looking for things on the ground, toads, mushrooms. It seems like everything they make dyes and highs out of is going herping. And to submittage herp all of colors is role. So I started this movie out with a long intro that everybody could understand and read. And I'm going to look more into this and read some more about this serpent. I think I'm going to learn a lot. And that's what I do. Once I figure out something that they've got hidden, the Nagas, that's when it really opens up a lot more. If you can get one word, it helps to interpret the rest of them around it. But you'll see that this Nagas comes up often with the Ammonite, which is the HOMO, the homo, the same, and WNII, the same, or the home of, or the homoing, the queering up, mixing the male and the male. And said, by them serpents homoing, advise it acrylosum, and anchor'll come, calling seeing in 'em, to submit herp all of colors is role. And they'll call this herp, scorn, taunt, scorn, turn up stones, looking for serpents, resting upon condition of shame, disgrace, and something they want you to be scared of. But I believe I'm going to start by reading this chapter 19, where I found, that died the Serpent King in the first line, and then the Lucia in the end, the last line, to help, which is of harem of Lucia, a lucid dream, vividly. St. Lucy's eyes were usually cut out and sitting on a plate here. She didn't need her eyes, and she had the lily and her eyes on a plate. On this condition I will make a covenant with you, that I may put out all your eyes. And that just tells me that this was a language that many more people would be able to read 500 years ago, when a lot of that art was made. And a lot of this language change just recently happened in the past 500 years. They're constantly trying to change it. They're trying to make words illegal. They're changing the meaning of words, outlawing symbols. And they try to call what I do anti-Semitism, the Semitism. And what it is somebody figured out that, hey, there was a void created by this fairy tale written by the King James, and there was a void for this poor soul that we should all feel sorry for, and they stepped right up in it and claimed it, which was a pretty sharp move. And that's what's going on with those secret hand sign when the Pope blesses the Jews. Yeah, and that's what that means. Yeah, I know your secret. We're going to keep it. We're going to keep this secret. We're not going to tell the people. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.